It was Thanksgiving night, a time when many people in the United States spend time with their families and friends. On Thursday, November 27th, late in the evening, something very important happened that would change many things. President Donald Trump shared a message online. His message was a big surprise for many people across the country. He announced a new rule about immigration. This rule was very serious and important, changing how people could come to the U.S. President Trump said that his government would start a permanent pause. This meant that people from certain places would not be able to come to the United States. He named these places Third World countries. The word permanent means it would last for a very long time, maybe forever. This was a very strict new policy, unlike anything seen before. Many people started to think about what this would mean for countless families and for the future of the nation. The announcement created immediate shock and many questions. The president's announcement came quickly after a very difficult event. Just the day before, a sad and violent incident happened in Washington, D.C. This event was a shooting near an important area of the city. 2 soldiers from the National Guard were shot near the White House. One of them, a young woman, sadly died from her injuries. The other soldier was badly injured and needed serious medical help. This sad news made the president's new immigration rule even more talked about and urgent. Many questions came after the president's online message. What exactly are Third World countries? The president did not give a clear list of names for everyone to understand. How would this new rule work in practice? Would it really stop all people from these places, or just some? What about those who already live here or have family waiting to come? The new rule caused much discussion and concern. It clearly showed that the government was making quick changes because of the recent violence. This important announcement on Thanksgiving night marked a big new step in the country's immigration policy. It made many people wonder about what would happen next and how this would affect their lives. This was a significant and memorable moment for the United States. 2. The sad event. A very sad event happened in Washington, D.C. on a Wednesday evening. The date was November 26, 2025. A terrible shooting took place close to the White House. It happened near the Farragut West metro station, right in the heart of downtown D.C. This area is usually busy with many people, tourists, and workers. 2 brave soldiers from the West Virginia National Guard were shot during the incident. They were on duty serving their country. One soldier was Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom. She was only 20 years old. It was a great tragedy. Sadly, Sarah died from her severe injuries on November 27th, the day after the shooting. The other soldier was Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf. He was 24 years old. Andrew was very badly hurt. He needed urgent surgery and was in critical condition for some time after the attack. This event caused deep sadness for their families, their fellow soldiers, and people across the entire nation. The police and other law enforcement officers immediately started a big search. They wanted to find the person responsible for this violent act as quickly as possible. Soon they were able to identify a suspect. His name was Ramanullah Lakhanwal. He was a 29-year-old man from Afghanistan. Officials learned important details about his past and how he came to the country. Ramanullah had come to the United States in September 2021. He arrived through a special program called Operation Allies Welcome. This program helped people from Afghanistan who had worked with American forces after the U.S. military left Afghanistan in August 2021. Ramanullah Lakhanwal had indeed worked closely with U.S. forces in Afghanistan. He was part of a partner force with the CIA in Kandahar until 2021. Later, in 2024, he formally asked for asylum in the U.S., seeking protection to stay in the country. His asylum application was approved in April 2025. This approval happened during the time when Donald Trump was the President of the United States. Before the shooting, Ramanullah had traveled a long way. He drove to Washington, D.C. from Bellingham, Washington. Investigators said he came to the nation's capital with a clear purpose, targeting it for his actions. He lived with his wife and what officials believed were 5 children. This shocking event quickly became a major news story across the country. 3. The government's quick action. After President Trump's surprising message on Thanksgiving night, government offices started working very quickly. The president had spoken about a permanent pause on immigration from certain countries. This was a direct response to the sad event in Washington, D.C., where a National Guard soldier tragically died. The government's goal was to make new rules that they believed would protect the country. One of the first government groups to act was the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, known as USCIS. This important agency handles many immigration requests, like green cards and citizenship applications. USCIS announced a complete stop to all new immigration applications from people who are citizens of Afghanistan. This pause was put in place for an unknown time until more reviews could happen. It meant that for now, no new Afghan nationals could apply to live in the U.S. through the normal channels. The director of USCIS, Joseph Edlow, explained that the agency would do a very careful and thorough check. They would look again at every green card. This included every foreign national who came from any country they called a country of concern. This was a very big and detailed task. It showed how serious and broad the government's response was becoming after the president's words. At the same time, the State Department also moved fast. This department manages foreign affairs and is responsible for giving out travel visas to people who want to visit or move to the U.S. It made an immediate halt to giving out any new travel visas to people holding Afghan passports. This meant that, for the time being, individuals from Afghanistan could not get new visas to travel to the United States. This action stopped many people from entering the country. On top of these specific actions, the Department of Homeland Security, or DHS, said it would also look again at many asylum cases. These were cases that had been approved earlier, during the time the previous president, Joe Biden, was in office. It was not immediately clear if this broad review would only be for Afghan cases, or if it would include people from many more countries. Furthermore, the administration made it known that it planned to re-examine all green card holders from a list of 19 countries. These 19 countries were already part of a travel ban that President Trump put in place in June 2025. These quick and broad actions showed that the government was making very significant and fast changes to immigration rules after the recent events and the president's public announcement. 4. What are third world countries? President Donald Trump used the words third world countries in his message. These words are important for understanding the new immigration rule. But what exactly does this term mean? The idea of third world started a long time ago, during the Cold War. A French expert named Alfred Sauvy first used it in 1952. Back then, it described countries that were not with the United States and its friends, called the First World, and not with the Soviet Union and its friends, called the Second World. These were countries that did not choose a side. After the Cold War ended in 1991, the meaning of Third World changed. Today, it usually means poorer countries or developing nations. These are countries that are still building their economies and improving life for their people. Many experts today do not use the term Third World because they feel it is old-fashioned and not clear enough. The problem with President Trump's announcement is that his government did not explain which countries are on this list. He did not say what his administration means by third world countries. The White House and the Immigration Service, USCIS, did not give a clear definition or a list of affected countries. For example, the United Nations has a list of least developed countries, or LDCs. In 2025, there are 44 such countries. They are in Africa, Asia, the Caribbean, and Pacific Islands. Groups like the World Bank also have their own ways to classify poorer nations. But President Trump did not say if his rule would use any of these lists. Because there is no clear list, the new immigration rule is very unclear for everyone. People do not know which countries are included in this permanent pause on migration. This makes it hard to understand how the new rule will work or who it will affect. The lack of clear information causes much uncertainty. 5. Old rules and new rules. The President's recent announcement about stopping migration is not a new idea for this administration. Before this, similar strong immigration rules have been put in place. These actions show a clear pattern of how the government wants to control who comes into the United States. For example, in June 2025, the President put in place a travel ban. This ban affected 19 countries. For some of these countries, like Afghanistan, Eritrea, and Yemen, people could not come to the U.S. at all. For others, such as Cuba, Haiti, and Venezuela, rules were set for certain visitors and for people who wanted to live in the U.S. permanently. This earlier ban was based on concerns about how well people were checked and if countries would take back their citizens who were deported. Beyond this travel ban, the administration has made many other changes to immigration since January 2025. The government has increased the number of people sent out of the country. They have also ended temporary protected status for people from different nations, including Venezuela, Haiti, and Somalia. This means many people lost their legal right to stay and work in the U.S. The administration also stopped programs that offered special help for people to enter the country. They even proposed new rules that would change how babies born in the U.S. get citizenship. Furthermore, the number of refugees allowed into the U.S. has been cut to a very low level for 2026. A new fee was also added for people who apply for asylum. All these steps show that the new permanent pause is part of a larger plan to change immigration laws and practices. 6. A look at the past. The president often looked back at how things were done before. He said that the past government did not check people well enough. He believed that many people had entered the United States without strong security checks. This was especially true during the time when people were leaving Afghanistan. He claimed that many thousands of people came in completely unvetted and unchecked from that region. A government report later confirmed some concerns about this process. The Department of Homeland Security published a report in September 2022. It stated that U.S. Customs and Border Protection had allowed some Afghan evacuees to enter the country without being fully checked. The report warned that because of this, some individuals who might be a risk to national security or public safety could have entered the United States. So, the report did find problems with how Afghan evacuees were processed. This supported the president's claims about weak past vetting. However, there was a surprising fact about the person accused in the recent shooting near the White House. This man, Ramanullah Lakonwal, was an Afghan national. He came to the United States in September 2021. He had a background of working with American forces in Afghanistan before coming here. He later asked for asylum, which means he wanted to stay in the U.S. permanently. His application to live in the U.S. was approved. The surprising detail was when this approval happened. Rahmanullah Lakanwal's asylum application was officially approved in April 2025. This was during the time that President Donald Trump was leading the country. This means that the approval of his request happened under the Trump administration's watch, not the previous one. This fact brought up many questions. It showed that even with a strong focus on strict immigration rules, such an approval could still occur. It made people think more deeply about the difficulties of the vetting process itself, no matter which government was in charge. The situation highlighted that past processes, even recent ones, had their own challenges and outcomes. 7. Problems with the new plan. The new plan for a permanent pause on immigration quickly brought up many concerns. People saw several big problems with it. First, it would be very difficult for the government to manage. The president did not give a clear list of what third world countries means. This made it hard for everyone to know exactly who would be affected. Government workers at immigration offices, airports, and consulates around the world would not know precisely how to apply these new and unclear rules. This would require a lot of new resources, money, and very strong organization across many different agencies. It would be an extremely complex and demanding task to put such a wide-reaching pause into action smoothly. Second, the plan would very likely face many challenges in court. People would quickly file lawsuits against it. Lawyers would argue that such a broad ban might not follow the highest laws of the country, known as the Constitution. Past travel bans by the Trump administration also faced numerous legal questions and lawsuits before courts made final decisions. Judges would look closely at whether the plan treats all people fairly and if it respects basic legal processes for everyone. If the plan includes ideas like people being not compatible with Western civilization, judges might see this as unfair, possibly discriminatory, and therefore unlawful. Third, stopping immigration could significantly hurt the U.S. economy. Many economic studies have shown that fewer immigrants can slow down a country's economic growth. For example, a study from a Federal Reserve Bank suggested that limits on immigration could cause the U.S. economy to grow less. Different businesses, such as those in farming, building, hotels, and healthcare, often depend on immigrant workers to fill important jobs. If fewer people come to the U.S., these industries might face serious worker shortages. This could make it harder for companies to produce goods and services, leading to less growth. It could also mean the country loses billions of dollars in economic output each year. Fourth, the new plan could create significant problems with other countries. The U.S. has important relationships with many nations around the world. If citizens from certain countries are suddenly not allowed to come to the U.S., these countries might feel offended or angry. They might become less willing to work closely with America on trade deals, shared security efforts, or other important international matters. International groups focused on human rights and helping people might also speak out strongly against the pause. This could make the U.S. seem less welcoming and severely hurt its reputation and standing on the world stage. 8. What happens next? The President, Donald Trump, has announced a very big new plan. This plan is to stop people from third world countries from coming to the U.S. permanently. However, many important details are still missing. The President did not say which countries this rule will affect. He also did not explain how the government will make this new rule work. We do not know when it will start. This makes the future of the policy unclear for everyone. The plan raises many big questions. One main question is about the law. Many people think this new rule will face legal challenges in court. During President Trump's first term, his travel ban also faced many lawsuits. Courts might look closely to see if the new rule is fair or if it causes discrimination. Legal experts say that using phrases like non-compatible with Western civilization could make the plan weak in court. Asylum applications, for example, might also be challenged. There are also big questions about the economy. Some studies show that stopping immigration can hurt the U.S. economy. For example, a study in 2025 found that less immigration could make the economy grow slower. Reports have also talked about labor shortages in important jobs like manufacturing. If fewer people come to the U.S. from many countries, it could make these problems worse. The government has not yet said how this new policy might affect jobs or prices. Another concern is about how the U.S. will work with other countries. Stopping immigration from many nations could make relationships difficult. International organizations like the UN Refugee Agency might also speak against the policy. The government agencies themselves will face problems. They need clear lists of which countries are affected to follow the new rule. This will be a big job for many staff members, including those at borders and in offices that handle visas. So, the future of this big immigration plan is very uncertain. It will depend on the government's next actions, the decisions of the courts, and how people and other countries react. It is a time of many changes and unknowns for immigration in the U.S. What do you think will be the biggest challenge for this new policy? Legal issues, economic problems, or something else?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.